Right now, as you listen to this, money is quietly deciding where you live, how stressed you feel, how free your time is, and even what choices you think are possible. And most people never stop to ask where that power came from or how to take some of it back. The birth of money power did not start with banks or billionaires or Wall Street charts. It started the moment humans realized that survival alone was not enough, and that control over resources meant control over the future, and understanding this changes how you see your paycheck, your debt, your savings, and your entire financial life. In the earliest days, money did not exist and people traded time, labor, and goods directly, which meant power belonged to whoever had strength, land, tools, or social trust. But barter was limited because you could not easily store value, measure effort, or plan long-term, so the first real financial breakthrough was not coins or paper, but the idea that value could be represented, stored, and transferred across time, and that idea is still the foundation of every financial system today. When societies began using commodities like grain, salt, and metals as money, they created the first income systems, because now work could be converted into something that lasted beyond the day. And this allowed saving, specialization, and trade at scale, which also introduced inequality, because those who controlled storage, measurement, and access gained leverage over others. Money power was born when value became abstract, because abstraction allows rules, contracts, and systems always favor those who understand them better. As coins replaced commodities, and later paper replaced coins, money became lighter, faster, and more psychological, which increased its power but also its risks, because now money depended on trust, authority, and belief, not just physical scarcity, and this is why inflation, debt, and financial crises exist even today. When governments began issuing currency, money power shifted from individuals to institutions because the ability to create tax and regulate money meant the ability to shape economies, reward certain behaviors, and manage social stability. And this is where modern financial thinking must begin, not with get-rich stories, but with understanding incentives and control. In today's world, money is no longer just something you earn. It is something that flows through systems like wages, credit, investments, insurance, and digital platforms, and your financial outcomes depend less on how hard you work and more on where you sit within these systems. This is uncomfortable for many people because we are taught that effort equals reward, but the reality is that effort without leverage often leads to exhaustion, not freedom, and money power is fundamentally about leverage, which can come from skills, capital, networks, or information. The modern worker often sells time for money, which is the least scalable income model, because time is limited, and once sold it is gone, and this is why wage growth alone rarely keeps up with inflation over long periods. Inflation is not a mystery or conspiracy, it is the natural result of expanding money supply, rising costs and productivity mismatches, and it quietly erodes purchasing power year after year, which means doing nothing with your money is a guaranteed loss, even if your bank balance looks stable. This is why saving alone is not enough anymore, even though saving is still essential, because saving creates safety, flexibility, and decision power, but without investing, savings slowly lose value in real terms. Investing is not gambling or speculation when done correctly. It is simply the process of owning productive assets that grow or generate income over time, such as businesses, real estate, or diversified market funds. And the goal is not to beat the market, but to participate in long-term economic growth. Many people fear investing because they associate it with risk. But risk is not the presence of uncertainty. It is the lack of understanding and preparation, and the biggest risk for most people is actually not investing at all while inflation works against them. Debt is another source of money power, but it works both ways, because debt can be a tool or a trap depending on how it is used, and most households experience debt as a burden, because they use it for consumption rather than for building income or assets. Consumer debt like credit cards and high-interest loans transfers money power away from individuals and toward financial institutions, because interest is a claim on your future income, and the longer you carry it, the more control it takes over your choices. On the other hand, strategic debt used carefully for education, business, or appreciating assets can amplify effort, but only when income is stable, risks are understood, and cash flow is managed conservatively. Cash flow is the real heartbeat of financial life, not net worth numbers or social media screenshots, because cash flow determines whether you can handle emergencies, invest consistently, and sleep at night without financial anxiety. Many people appear wealthy but live paycheck to paycheck due to poor cash flow management, while others with modest incomes build quiet stability by controlling expenses, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and prioritizing long-term goals over short-term status. Lifestyle inflation is one of the most powerful but least discussed forces draining money power from the middle class, because as income rises, spending often rises faster, locking people into higher fixed costs that reduce flexibility and increase stress. The modern economy encourages this through marketing, social comparison, and easy credit, making it feel normal to finance cars, gadgets, and experiences that do not generate returns. Money mindset matters here not in a motivational sense, but in a practical awareness of trade-offs, because every dollar spent is a vote for a certain future, and every dollar saved or invested is a delay of gratification in exchange for greater options later. The birth of money power in the digital age has added another layer, because money is now data, moving instantly across platforms, apps, and global markets, which creates both opportunity and vulnerability. Digital banking, online investing, and remote work have lowered barriers to entry, allowing more people to earn, save, and invest without traditional gatekeepers, but they have also increased exposure to scams, volatility, and impulsive decision-making driven by constant information noise. The rise of the gig economy and remote work has changed income stability, offering flexibility but often removing benefits, protections, and predictable growth, which means individuals must now manage risks that employers once absorbed. This includes health costs, retirement planning, and income smoothing during slow periods, making financial literacy more important than ever. Retirement itself has shifted from a guaranteed outcome to a personal project, as pensions have largely disappeared and been replaced by self-directed accounts that reward consistency and patience rather than timing or brilliance. The power of compound growth is often explained with charts, but its real lesson is behavioral, because small, regular actions over long periods outperform sporadic big moves driven by emotion. This applies not only to investing but also to skill building, networking, and side income development, which are increasingly important in a rapidly changing job market. Modern money power favors adaptability because industries evolve, automation reshapes roles, and lifelong employment is rare, so relying on a single income source without updating skills is a growing risk. This does not mean everyone must become an entrepreneur, but it does mean understanding how your income is generated, how secure it is, and how easily it can be replaced or supplemented. Side income, when approached realistically, is not about overnight success but about creating optionality, learning marketable skills, and testing ideas with low risk, whether through freelancing, consulting, digital products, or part-time services. The goal is not to hustle endlessly, but to reduce dependence on any single system that you do not control. Money power also involves understanding taxes, not to avoid them illegally, but to plan within the rules, because taxes significantly affect net income and investment returns, and basic awareness can prevent costly mistakes. Many people overpay taxes simply by not understanding deductions, credits, or retirement account benefits, which effectively reduces their lifetime earnings. At a larger scale, money power shapes society through policy, corporate behavior, and consumer demand, and while individuals cannot control these forces, they can align their personal finances to be resilient within them. This means building emergency funds, avoiding excessive leverage, diversifying income and investments, and staying informed without becoming reactive. Financial media often focuses on extremes, crashes, booms, and sensational stories, but real financial progress is usually quiet, gradual, and sometimes boring, which is why it rarely goes viral. The birth of money power in your own life begins when you stop seeing money as just something you chase or fear and start seeing it as a tool that reflects your values, priorities, and understanding of the system you live in. This does not require perfection or high income, but it does require honesty about habits, discipline in decisions, and patience with results. Many people delay financial action because they feel behind, but there is no universal timeline, only trade-offs between today and tomorrow, and starting later is still better than never starting at all. The modern financial world rewards those who are steady rather than those who are flashy, those who ask questions rather than follow trends blindly, and those who respect risk rather than deny it. Risk awareness does not mean avoiding all risk, because that is impossible. But it does mean choosing risks intentionally, understanding worst-case scenarios, and not risking what you cannot afford to lose. This applies to investments, career moves, and even personal spending decisions that lock you into long-term obligations. The power of money is ultimately the power of choice, the ability to say no to bad situations, to invest in yourself, to support others, and to navigate uncertainty with confidence rather than fear. This power was not designed to be evenly distributed, but it is accessible in meaningful ways to those willing to learn, adapt, and act consistently within their reality. The story of money is not about greed or morality alone. It is about coordination, trust, and incentives. And understanding this story helps you stop personalizing financial outcomes that are often systemic while still taking responsibility for what you can control. In a world where prices rise, jobs change, and technology accelerates, money power belongs less to those who earn the most and more to those who manage, protect, and deploy what they earn wisely. This is why financial education should not be about tricks or secrets, but about clarity, because clarity leads to better decisions, and better decisions compound over time just like money does. When you understand how money was born as power, You stop being surprised by its influence and start positioning yourself to live with more stability, dignity, and freedom, not by escaping the system, but by learning how it actually works and choosing your place within it with open eyes. Money power did not arrive suddenly, and it was never meant to be fair by default. It grew slowly as value turned into systems, and systems turned into control, and once you understand that, you stop blaming yourself for everything while also realizing how much responsibility you still have. The real message is this: money will always shape your life, whether you understand it or not, so the only real choice is whether you remain passive or become intentional. Power over money does not come from chasing more income blindly, but from learning how money flows, how it loses value over time, how debt can quietly steal your future, and how small, consistent decisions can slowly return control to you. Financial freedom is not a lifestyle or a finish line. It is the ability to make decisions without fear, to absorb shocks without panic, and to plan years ahead instead of weeks. In today's world, stability belongs to those who respect risk, build cash flow, invest patiently, and adapt as the economy changes. The strongest people financially are not the loudest or the richest, but the most aware. When you understand the birth of money power, you stop chasing money as a symbol and start using it as a tool, and that shift alone can change the direction of your entire life.